Governor Doug Ducey signed a new law to help prosecute sex traffickers. But according to data and experts from the Office of Sex Trafficking Intervention Research at Arizona State University, many trafficking victims never press charges, leaving traffickers on the streets. But that isn't the only hurdle when tackling sex trafficking, as investigative reporter Meghan Finnerty found out.
Exiting sex trafficking and finding a new normal is not easy for victims, and Cronkite News found providing support or justice for the victims is not any easier. The new research looked at 159 cases in Las Vegas, but sex trafficking is a national issue. This nondescript building in Glendale is home to Streetlight USA, a transitional program designed to give love and support to victims of sex trafficking.
Go get breakfast and everything.
But the girls struggle as their life structure transitions from being controlled by their trafficker to needing to get up, get ready, and once again go to school.
We gotta get out of here.
They do want a normal life, and that this is not something that initially they understand that they've gotten involved with, but over time they do start to realize, once they see what a normal life is like, that their life is abnormal.
In these cottages, the program tries to cut the girls off from their high risk or trafficked past. KAELIN graduated the program after trying 11 other places, but at Streetlight, her transition stuck.
Really invite you in and make you feel like you should stay and like you should work on yourself and better your life.
Girls have been here ranging from days to years, but according to the CEO, problems outside of the fence in licensing and identification processes, they can't provide the girls all the support they need here.
There's huge gaps in the system as to why it's not working. Most of the kids that we know that are trafficked, it's not on their record, because unless a child's been criminalized, then how does the system recognize them?
Streetlight needs state approval for medical attention and separate approval for therapy. And more regulations leave empty beds.
We are a facility that can house 60 kids. Why is it that we only have 2 houses full?
When trafficking victims aren't identified, the oversight is harmful, preventing girls a chance at the Streetlight program. In Phoenix, Dignity Health launched a campaign to train medical staff to notice the signs of human trafficking.
I worked on victims of human trafficking and never realized what it was. I knew something was wrong, but there was something there that didn't click.
The Arizona Human Trafficking Council has guidelines for best practice, addressing that trafficking is an extremely complex issue.
For how communities can work together to address trafficking issues in a way that's not only trauma-informed and victim-centered, but also in a way that we make sure that our law enforcement are able to hold perpetrators accountable.
But that's an issue as well, due to both the victims and the lack of prosecution. Dominique Rose-Sepowitz is the director at the Office of Sex Trafficking Intervention Research at ASU, and her team looked at 159 Las Vegas cases in 2014. Only 24% of victims were cooperative concerning collection of evidence or aiding in the arrest and prosecution of their trafficker, and only 16.3% of minors trafficked were cooperative. Nearly 75% of the cases were never filed, and 95% of the traffickers had previous arrest histories.
We find them a year later in another case. They're victimizing young people. They're doing really violent, horrible, torturesome things to them, and maybe that victim doesn't participate either, and then back out into the community that trafficker goes.
Creating a vicious cycle. Traffickers abuse more girls, creating more victims. But red tape keeps organizations from being able to transition these girls from victims to survivors.
My question becomes, do we as a society really want to support these girls? Because if we do, we really need to make changes in how they are being served and how they are being identified.
We reached out to the Arizona Department of Health Services to further understand the restrictions in licenses, but we are unable to get a response. With the investigative team, Meghan Finnerty, Cronkite News.